Okay, for part 2, we're going to start by identifying some of the muscles that we have in our little guy right here. So right here at the very top, this is our pectoralis major. Our pectoralis major allows for our movement across the chest. It actually connects to the bones of the intertubercle groove of the humerus, which is a little groove in the head of the humerus that allows for that muscle movement. Right underneath of it is our pectoralis minor. So again, pectoralis major here, pectoralis minor here. From there, we hit the bottom. The sternum is here. We can see this is our rectus abdominis. This is what we consider the six-pack of the abdominals. And then our obliques. This is our external obliques here, and not our internal obliques. From here, we can see some portions of the arm. Our triceps on the bottom and our biceps on top. We're not going fully down the arm, but we are going to start by just going slightly offset or lateral of the medial, and we're going to cut on the sternum. From here now I want to use a blunt dissection. Notice I'm using my fingers. I'm going across the ribs, and I'm going to separate out our pectoralis major. Once I've separated the pectoralis major out, you can actually start to see, and we'll see, the veins and arteries that go into the arm. There's a major point into the armpit that goes in, so we can actually, our muscles sit on top of each other like layers. So we can Y-incision this back. This is through blunt dissection. They're connected with connective tissue. Down here we can see really something pretty cool. Those little thin wires right here, those are nerves. Those nerves allow for you to have muscle control within this. I'm going to go on the other side of the septum here, again superficially, creating a pocket, and I'm going to separate this out. The one thing that's nice about doing this is, one, we're going to see the intercostal cartilages and the inner muscles of our tract, but we can start to see our veins going into our arms. We don't want to get into our abdominal cavity yet. From here, we can start to do blunt dissection, opening up this into and back to the heart. So we can separate these muscles. We're cutting very superficially so that we can separate this out through blunt dissection. Not only can I start to see my arteries and veins, but I can see nerves that are following here too. The blue are the veins carrying the deoxygenated blood. The connective tissue is holding them together. Our artery here carrying oxygenated blood, and then our nerve is the white piece here carrying impulses for sense, also for muscle contraction and relaxation. From here, we're going to get into that thoracic cavity. I'm going to use a pair of scissors. I'm just going to stay superior, cut on one side of my sternum. I'm cutting through right now the ribs. Ribs are connected to the sternum and do have some cartilage in those connections. So they're a little bit more flexible. We also see, as this is cut, we have muscles in between there. That allows for your muscles to contract and relax. This allows for your breathing to occur. And from here, we can now Y-incision back. Now we have true coeloms, and we can actually separate these out. And we can see where this is coming into my heart. So I want to be kind of careful. So I don't want to cut those arteries. They're coming on the sternal side. And I don't want to cut through the diaphragm into the abdominal cavity. I want to keep superficial of that to the thoracic cavity. You hear a cracking sound. The cracking is the breaking of ribs. Most of you are going to find some connective tissue within your cat. This connective tissue that I'm removing, some of it's preservative, other parts is connective tissue. That connective tissue is what we know as blood. From there now, we can start to see a few things. One, we can see our lobes of our lungs. We can see our heart, which is encased within the pericardium. We can see the diaphragm here on the bottom side, and we could start to see the aorta on the top side. So as I start moving this, you can easily see your superior vena cava, and then on the other side, as I start removing, we're to see our artery. And this is going to send blood all through the body. It's held together by connective tissue. And so that's easily removed. We don't want to get too crazy and actually ruin some of these connections, but we want to be able to see some of them. We notice that this is coming on to the right side of our heart. Deoxygenated blood comes in through the superior and inferior vena cava into the right atrium, which is right here, and then it will get pumped to the right ventricle, then to the pulmonary artery, the only deoxygenated artery within the body. From there, it will go back into the left atria, to the left ventricle, and through the pulmonary and do the aorta. It does come back through the pulmonary vein. The pulmonary vein is located on the bottom side here. It is the only oxygenated vein within our body. It carries the lung back. So this is the pericardium. This is the sac that holds the heart. So let's open that up real quick. See what we got. So the sac is containing the heart. Remember, it does have fluid in there. We want it to be lubricated so that our heart doesn't stop pumping. Our heart is ran by electrical impulses, and so the SA node and the VA node allow for those electrical impulses to keep that lub-dub, lub-dub, lub-dub sense of the heart going. And so our pericardium, and then that exposes our heart. If we notice our lungs here, we have 1, 2, 3 lobes of the lungs on this side. Notice how big this lobe is on the right side. Again, connective tissue, aka blood. On the left, we'll see 1, 2, 3 lobes as well. Yesterday, we took a little bit, I'll take the bottom lobe because it's quite big over here. So if we look at our lobe, a couple things that we're going to see in here. We can see the bronchioles, which lead to the alveoli, so we can see that there is still fluid in there. These are air sacs, so there's no passageways. So when we breathe, those fill up, and this is like a big sponge. Yesterday, we took our fetal pig lungs and put them in there, and they sank. And we're seeing this is sinking, but not quite the same density. It's a little bit more buoyant. So we do have a cirrhosis portion, so I want to actually see what that looks like, what this does too. So this part has cirrhosis. You can see it's super weird pigmentation, and that is sinking as well. This cat could have had some lung issues with the condition of these lungs. If it was a normal healthy cat, because the lungs are fairly hard, if it was a normal healthy cat with good lungs, they would float. The problem is the lung tissue is very hard. It's almost like the density of liver for this cat. They're not squishy like a sponge full of water. They're more the consistency of balsa wood. So they're quite dense. The problem with them being quite dense, so this cat could have what we call COPD. COPD is a lung condition, and you can get it because you smoke. Oh wait, cats don't smoke. Oh yes, the owners smoke. If you are an owner of a feline or a dog and smoke cigarettes, your cat can be susceptible to the same lung diseases you can.